Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
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 I'm finally free. Can't bring me down. I'm on a high right now.
How long do you guys think it'll take for everyone to turn on Gypsy Rose Blanchard?
For one, her stories just aren't adding up.
I think Gypsy Rose is a sociopath.
Am I the only one noticing the mass manipulation that's going on right now?
Changed my opinion on the Gypsy Rose situation in less than 24 hours.
I call bullshit on everything Gypsy Rose Blanchard has said.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard is not as innocent as everybody paints her out to be.
Y'all are forgetting the fact that Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a
Not long at all. Let's get into it.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard was released from prison on December 28th, 2023 after completing 85% of her original 10-year sentence. During research for this video, I saw many comments about how the switch up was fast or y'all wanted her to get out. So later we're going to talk about why that is. Gypsy is infamous for conspiring with her then boyfriend Nicholas Godejohn to unalive her mother, Claudine Dee Blanchard. Ever since her release, she's been very vocal in the media and has amassed almost 9 million followers just on TikTok alone. I watched her social media grow, so I'm going to show you just how fast she blew up. Before her release in October, her half-sister Mia posted a video sharing that Gypsy had her own social media accounts for people to follow, so that's how I originally found her account.
So those usernames will be down below in my caption. She's not in full control right now. She does have her husband post for her, mostly on Instagram, and she does, send him pictures and tell him, what to post right now because she can't. But she will be in full control in December when she gets out. So if y'all want to give her a follow and just see her life when she gets out, that would be awesome. Bye.
So on the day of her release, December 28th, 2023, she had this many followers.
She posted her first video to TikTok on December 31st of 2023. This video has over 33 million views and is flooded with comments from supporters calling her a queen and an icon. 3 days later, on December 31st, she had 1.7 million followers.
Then just one day later, on January 1st, she had 6 million followers. 4 days later, on January 5th, she had 7 million followers. January 7th, 8.3, and January 26th, 9.9. So right after her release, her videos were going mega viral. Over 20 million views, 56 million views, and close to almost 60 million views on one video. I didn't follow Instagram as closely, but here's what she had on December 28th, and then here's what she had on January 30th. So again, around 8.3 million on Instagram. However, it would appear that Gypsy is now starting to lose followers. She went from 9.9 on January 30th to now present day, she's at 9.8 million, which to be honest isn't a huge number because TikTok does round up. So I wanted to see exactly how many followers she was losing. So I took this screenshot on February 5th and this one on February 6th.
This one also on February 6th, just a few hours later in the day. So it would appear that she is steadily losing followers.
Right before Gypsy's release, social media, TikTok especially, exploded with videos in support of Gypsy, with one trending sound in particular, which has videos like this. Lots of small businesses adapting to a trend, lots of people planning fake Gypsy release parties. This especially concerning one. I think you get the point. There are tons and tons of them. However, now when you search Gypsy Rose Blanchard on TikTok, your search results may be very different. So why is that and what are people saying?
Guys, it's too early to be pissed off at Gypsy Rose. Basically, everything has gone exactly how everyone predicted. She came out of prison and immediately became an influencer. But cancel culture didn't exist before she went to prison. Prison was being canceled. This girl is a time capsule. She came out of prison and she goes to Times Square and she talks about how epic it is. Every video starts with the longest millennial pause I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. And so she came out of prison with almost no social media experience, and she fucked up on social media. This has also been predicted. We all knew that this was gonna happen at some point. She was gonna say something or do something on accident that was a little fucky. And so she posted her cousin, I wanna say, who's 16, and she was like, ladies, age-appropriate ladies, slide into his DMs. Is that an amazing use of her giant platform? No, but she just got the giant platform last week. There's a learning curve here. and we've got to give a little bit of grace. This is not what I'm canceling Gypsy Rose over. If Gypsy Rose comes out as a Trump supporter, I would change my mind. But otherwise, give the girl a second to adjust to having a fucking monstrous platform.
Now, after watching many Turning on Gypsy videos, I boiled it down to a few points that I see are pretty consistent throughout all of the videos. One seems to be that everyone believes she's a master manipulator.
I don't understand why people can't see through the fact that while yes, she was the victim of a terrible crime, this is still a master manipulator. This is still someone that conspired to kill a member of their own family, and now she's being glorified for it, and even worse, made it rich by it.
Initial video, I described Gypsy Rose as a master manipulator, and a lot of people didn't like that. People have said, where's the evidence? Where's proof? Here it is. But first, this person says I'm basing my opinion off the act, which is not true. When I initially watched the act, I didn't think Gypsy was in the wrong at all. I didn't think she was a manipulator. I just thought she was a scared girl doing what she had to do to survive. I do believe she is a victim. A lot of people are saying I'm victim blaming. I don't agree with that. I do believe she's a victim, and there is nothing on this entire planet that she could have done to deserve any of the things that happened to her. So let's not try to twist my words. It was only until I started watching real interviews of Gypsy, things Gypsy put out herself, the docu-series, and a few documentaries, that I kind of started noticing inconsistencies. On to the proof. I think it's very bold of her to claim that she does not identify as a murderer. She said, I didn't commit the act, so I'm not a murderer. I could never do that. I don't have that in me to be able to do that. When in one of her docu-series that she put out, The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose, she directed it, she spoke in it, it is in her own words. That her and her mother were in a heated argument, she saw a pew-pew on the table, and without hesitation, she picked it up, unloaded 10 rounds into her mother, only then to realize it was a BB pew-pew and not real. My question is, who picks up a pew-pew, not knowing if it's real or not, and unloads a whole clip into someone without the intention of unaliving them? And then states, my intention was not to unalive her, I don't know why I did that. That's insane, and that's manipulative, because clearly you do have it in you because you tried it before, it just didn't pan out the way you thought it would.
I think you guys missed the point that Gypsy was still out here doing things that people her age were doing. She literally had a boyfriend to which she tricked, manipulated into her mother for her. Do you know what type of cognitive function it takes to manipulate someone to do murder?
Another huge breaking point for people seems to be when Gypsy did the interview on the Vile Files podcast, stating that she didn't identify as a schmurderer because her ex-boyfriend Nicholas was the one who committed the actual act.
Gypsy Rose is absolutely a fraud, and I have proof. Roll the clip.
I don't associate myself as a murderer because if you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked Nick for help. And how that conversation started was, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes. And then the plan kind of formed from there. But he's the one that did the actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
What are your thoughts? She shows how much of a narcissist she is. She says she's taking accountability, but she puts this out on the media. I am telling you, after seeing this interview, I already thought she was kind of sort of not being 100% honest, but I really think she's a fraud now, and I think she'd re-offend.
Gypsy, parole, that's a chance. And the only reason you were able to be considered suitable to get that chance is because you sat in front of that parole board and proved to them that you have been rehabilitated. You showed signs of remorse. You proved to them that you understood the nature and the magnitude of your crime. Now you on Everybody podcast retracting that statement? What?
Another is her relationship with Ryan. The media seems to be glamorizing her relationship with her husband to the point where she's being interviewed for relationship advice.
All right, it is Turdy Lou and GRB. Gypsy Rose, I'm going to do a quick round of questions with you, okay?
Okay.
First of all, you look beautiful.
Okay, thank you very much.
Gypsy, what is your advice to the single gals out there? Like, how do you find a man who will just ride for you? You look so happy and so beautifully in love. Like, what is your piece of advice?
Just be yourself, be the queen, and that'll be your king. So
amazing.
It's hard to do, but you can do it.
Oh, I went from 19 to 32. Jeez, God, I got old so quick. How did that happen?
You never went to school either. Mm-hmm. It's hard to do, but you can do it.
If we were in a group of friends, if I said something that I wasn't supposed to, she'd squeeze my hand. And I know I was just afraid, just too afraid.
And yes, I've seen the videos claiming that Ryan is Gypsy's brother. However, I honestly believe that's 100% false. A lot of people concerned about how long this marriage is actually going to last, considering they were married while Gypsy was still incarcerated. And I'm sure by now everyone knows about the D is fire comment.
You guys, I'm here with Gypsy Rose herself, the celeb of the moment. So I know you have so many followers, so much love on social media, but what I want to know is, what do you have to say to the haters?
Well, you know, can't bring me down. I'm on a high right now. I'm living my best life, and y'all can't take that from me.
And the D is
fire.
Somebody commented this the other day, and they said, I feel like he's the type to be controlling. Trying to be her manager. He's getting very strategic, like he's answering for her, like he's telling her story for her. And talk about being strategic. Come in really close for this one. Her husband out here having her run her mouth on these podcasts like her mouth got diarrhea or something. Like she just will not stop talking. If her parole for any reason is revoked and she has to go back to prison to finish out the rest of her sentence, all this money from her little social media and all this money from her podcast and interview, who you think gonna get it? Next of kin? Nope. Remember, that's a married woman. So we talking about strategic.
A lot of people also don't like the fact that her ex-boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, who committed the act for her, was sentenced to life in prison and she's walking free.
I find it really disturbing that she put her ex-boyfriend up to kill her mom and then doesn't even care what happens to him. After all, it came out that Gypsy was perfectly healthy, not developmentally delayed at all. But her ex-boyfriend, who she put up to this, was. He was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder level 2, which means he, quote, requires substantial support with accompanying intellectual impairment. Still, he was sentenced to life in jail. He said many times that he tried to talk her out of doing this and just have them run away. He told her that this was going to haunt him for the rest of his life.
The way she was raised, no woman should ever, no child for that matter, should ever have to be raised that way. I did feel that she was not taking responsibility for her actions, but at the same time, due to the way I know she was raised, I can't blame her. I can't. That, and along with my religion, with being a Christian, I know I'm not supposed to judge, so I'm not going to judge.
Meanwhile, she's never showed remorse for putting this man through this. Never taken into account that he was intellectually impaired and was diagnosed with that. She just married old dude while she was in prison, and she's off living her life, having her release party, which I'm not saying she didn't deserve to be released. Let's be clear. I think she should have gotten out of prison.
Sent a very interesting Gypsy Rose Blanchard article this morning. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is losing supporters as they catch her in lies. Here's what you need to know. And I believe that is true because if you've been following Gypsy Rose Blanchard since her release from prison, I'm sure you have seen that the social media tides have been turning and it's a lot less yes queen and a lot more cringe queen. The headline of this article reads, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, con artist or victim? The article goes on to outline some inconsistencies in Gypsy Rose's story. It asks a lot of the questions that we have been asking. Like, if she had access to the internet and a secret telephone, why didn't she ever call for help or reach out to her father and tell him what was going on? And if she had all of these doctor's appointments, why didn't she just stand up, show them that she could walk, and let them know that something very wrong was going on with her mother? However, this part of the article right here caught my attention big time because I haven't heard anyone really discuss this. They're talking about Nick Godejohn, Gypsy's ex-boyfriend who actually unalived Gypsy's mom, Dee Dee. Nick told investigators that he stabbed her mother 4 times. He was sure about the number. Dee Dee suffered 17 stab wounds. Most people believe that Blanchard stabbed her mother 13 times and lied to police about it to get a lighter jail sentence. Now it says most people believe this, but I don't know who most people are because like I said, I had never heard this theory before and it's quite interesting. So I went back and I checked Nick Godejohn's interrogation tapes.
And I just was in a random spot in the back.
In the back, just random?
Yes.
Do you know how many times you stabbed her?
4.
You stabbed her 4?
Yeah, 4 times.
Okay.
The 4th one, I felt it go into, I think it might have been her lungs.
Okay.
It was harder to get out.
Okay. Did it take one hand to get it out, 2 hands?
I had to yank it out.
Okay.
With 1 hand.
Okay. So it did. So the others came out easy, but that one kind of came out harder?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, you only stabbed her 4 times? Are you sure about that?
Well, as in stabbing, I stabbed her 4 times.
Okay.
But I did actually cut her one other time besides that.
Okay. Where'd you cut her
On
at?
the back of her neck.
Okay.
So as you heard, he does say it was only 4 times. 5 times if you count the cut on the back of the neck. And when he's asked again, are you sure it was only 4 times? He says yes, it was 4 times. Now, if you remember Gypsy's side of the story, she said she was hiding in the bathroom covering her ears while all this was going down because she didn't want to hear any of it. Nick Godejohn does confirm that she was in the bathroom, but he says she was in there shaving her legs. And she was doing that in preparation for what happened directly after the unaliving of Dee Dee Blanchard, which, if you know, you know, her and Nick went to Gypsy's bedroom and did the deed. Throughout his confession, Nick maintains that he acted alone. What do you guys think about this theory? Do you think it's possible that Nick is only saying he acted alone to protect Gypsy? And do you think there's any merit to this theory that the unaliving of Dee Dee Blanchard was a tag team effort between Nick and Gypsy?
Now, Nicholas has since filed a new appeal. I have a separate video going over his appeal documents if you'd like to check it out, but we're going to get into Nick in a separate video.
So I want to know if Gypsy Rose is putting money on that man's books. And I'm talking about her ex-boyfriend who helped her mom. Now, she did an interview on The View, and they asked her what she thought about him and does she know how he's doing? And she gave this pageant answer like, oh, I can't really think about that. I have a lot to process. Ma'am, he helped you with some dirty work. Are you putting money on that man's books? I mean, he threw his life away for you. And the way many of you are like obsessing over her, do you know that she somebody? Her mother at that? Why are y'all not alarmed? Because crazy mama or not, she still took matters into her own hands, gave that man a tool and said, Nicholas, go for what you know. I'll see you in a little bit.
I've also seen comments where people don't think that Gypsy should be able to profit off of her crime at all, and that she served a lighter sentence than those who are incarcerated for lesser crimes.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard is not as innocent as everybody paints her out to be, and I'm just going to give my opinion on why. Gypsy Rose got 10 years for the unaliving of her mom. Meanwhile, her co-conspirator Nick, which is the person she manipulated into doing the crime for her, got life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. As of this moment, Gypsy Rose is not mentally ill, and Nick Godejohn has several mental illnesses that were documented before he did this crime. What's concerning to me about this is there are many people who are being abused and that have unalived their abusers that are black and brown people, and they're not given the same leniency when it comes down to a sentencing. But why is Gypsy Rose? I know right now on social media there's a lot of yes, queen and slay queen for Gypsy Rose. However, I really do hope that also with this we start a debate about uneven sentencing and how people are treated unfairly in the justice system based on their race and gender. There are currently people serving time in incarceration, and there are people who will be incarcerated for nonviolent crimes that'll serve more time than Gypsy Rose for the premeditated planning of her mother's unaliving, and that is wild to me. Upon her release, she is releasing an ebook, and she's also doing several paid exclusives with media outlets like People magazine. Now, Gypsy Rose, her entire life, has known that she's had to keep up this scam that her mom has going on in order to survive. And I really do get the sense that that's what she's continuing to do. My questions are, why does she get to profit off her crimes?
Hey everyone, so this is my outfit of the day. Everything is Zara, my top.
Listen here. I look at this shit and I'm like, are we for real? Is this what we're doing? Listen, Gypsy Rose, you did less time than I did for, you know what I'm saying? You know, had all to do with your mom's unaliving, girl. And you think you call that fair? Not to mention, how the hell did you manipulate the courts and everyone around you to believe you? And the only way that it's coming out is because you can't lie, girl. You get out and you put your face on this camera and you suck at actually telling the truth. Like, we can see through you. You tell on yourself you're not good. You might be able to manipulate your way through life with some people that ain't got no sense, but girlfriend, I've been to prison. I've been a manipulator. I've been a liar. I know one when I see one.
But now that she's out of prison, she's getting the best life out here, whining and dining and hanging out with all the celebrities and free shit falling from the sky.
And then there was the Instagram post where she posted a picture of her nephew.
Gypsy Rose pimping out her underage nephew to her over 8 million followers on Instagram completely and totally did it for me. I'm sick of it. I am so glad that people are starting to talk about the negatives of Gypsy Rose having this much attention right now, because it's honestly dangerous. Walking out of prison after spending the last 8 years isolated, and before that, a life full of trauma, torture, isolation, manipulation, lies. Walking into a life with all this attention, immediate fame, immediate 10 million followers, immediate 8 million followers on Instagram, red carpets, podcasts, news interviews, lifetime specials. This is incredibly dangerous.
I had a feeling that her media campaign right after release was going to be a turning point or sort of a downfall for Gypsy, because she hit the media within the first week after her release from prison. I went through and tried to make a list of all of the interviews she has done, but it seems like every time I think I found them all, I find another one. So hopefully I have them all here, and I do have a playlist that I will make public if you want to go through and watch these interviews. So pre-release, she did an exclusive with People magazine. 18 months prior to her release, she was working on her docu-series, Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She also had her ebook that she was working on that was released after she got out. Most of these interviews were uploaded to YouTube around January 5th, so I'm assuming she did them all around the same exact time, and they all posted them on January 5th. So we have The View on January 5th, Good Morning America, January 5th, E.T., January 5th, Access Hollywood, January 5th, CNN, January 5th, E! News, January 6th, and then she did the A&E event promoting her docu-series, the Vile Files podcast, January 8th, and then she did an interview on the Coalition Entertainment YouTube channel. It will be very interesting to see in the next days and weeks if Gypsy's following count keeps declining. I also saw this yesterday. This is what her bio used to say. So, public figure, speaker, author, advocating awareness of Munchausen by proxy. However, she has since changed that, and in one of the comments sections on one of her videos, she writes, "I removed public figure from my bio because I felt like the narrative that has been put out there in the last month has not reflected my advocacy work. I'm just Gypsy, not a celebrity." So, her bio now reads author, advocate. I just feel like for someone who has endured a lifetime of trauma, all of this attention in the public eye could maybe have some negative impacts on her life. Obviously, she is a grown adult and she can do whatever she wants. I just wonder what effects this could have on her, having this quick introduction into the social media sphere after going from her mother straight into prison for 8 years and now experiencing adulthood in reality for the first time. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing.